Neda Tabatabaie, and she is the Vice President of Business Analytics and Technology at San Jose Sharks. She's going to talk to us about data in the business of sports. So in her sixth season with the Sharks, she's responsible for devising, developing, implementing, and guiding the overall business strategy initiatives for the organization through the use of technology, data, and analytics. She serves on the boards of Sharks Foundation, San Jose Downtown Association, and is the board chair of Women in Sports Technology. She was selected as one of the 100 of Women of Influence in 2019 by Silicon Valley Business Journal and Sports Business Journal Game Changers class of 2019. Wow, what an honor to have you here today. I'm going to go ahead and bring Neda up on our virtual stage here. Hello. Welcome to the show here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. How's my voice quality? Good?
Very good. Your voice is good. Everything's good. You look great. I'm going to hop off and let you take this away.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Perfect. So a little bit about our organization first. Let me just make sure I have there we go. So as Kate mentioned, I'm the VP of Business Analytics and Technology at the San Jose Sharks. Our organization, which is known as Sharks Sports and Entertainment, not only owns and operates the San Jose Sharks, which is part of the National Hockey League, we also manage the San Jose Barracuda, which is our AHL team. Think about it as our farm team, the SAP Center, which is the home of both the Sharks and the Barracuda in San Jose, Sharks Foundation, and we also operate 3 public ice facilities in the Bay Area, one in San Jose, one in Fremont, and one in Oakland. So we're just more than just the Sharks. We are a little bit of everything about ice, I like to say, and continuing to grow that business for the organization. So I completely changed the presentation that I had prepared for this conference today. After I got some feedback from some of the people who were going to participate in the conference, I very quickly realized that a lot of people think that I'm going to be talking about hockey. I am not going to be talking about hockey. Ken covered a little bit of the analytics on the sports side a little bit. Maybe we can offline some of my thoughts on that a little bit later. I'm going to be talking about the business of sports. For a lot of people, this presentation might be super basic, but for a lot of you, you might not know what goes behind the scene as a sports organization, whether it's a professional sports or perhaps even some of the leagues. So I'm going to cover some of the basics, and maybe in the future, we can talk about a little bit more deeper analytics. And there are, of course, a lot of other online sources that you can look up to. So when we talk about the business of sports, I really classify the type of data that we have into 2 groups. Fan data, which is what a lot of people talk about, is some of the data sources that you see here. One of the challenges in our business that we perhaps can get to a little bit later is that the nature of our business creates data silos for us. We are almost like multiple different business within what's business. We have a little bit of retail. We have a little bit of food and beverage. Some of us even have our own restaurants and broadcast studios. But, of course, ticket sales is a big part of what we do. But not only ticket sales, but ticket attendance, anything related to the ticket and that transaction is a huge source of data for us. You come to a game, you might have a mobile app that you interact with us on your phone, whether it's looking to see where your seats are, looking to see what food and beverage is available, and so on and so forth. Parking data, social media, surveys, attendance, and arena Wi-Fi. These are all data sources that we deal with. Then there's another source of data that I would consider enterprise data. That is almost like every other business, perhaps beside a couple of data sources here. We have ERP data, we had HRIS data, expenses, the learning management system, employee surveys, all of that. Maybe perhaps the digital signage data, the networking data, and the sponsorship data might be a little bit different from other organizations. And as you can imagine, some of these data sources across fan data and enterprise data also relate to each other. Think about it. If for example, if a happy employee perhaps retains customers at a higher rate, right? Or, if somebody who's participating more in the learning management system and learning more, are they better at their potential task that they were tasked with? So these are some of the data sources we deal with on the business side. Let's think about the fan experience and talk about the fan data specifically. Think about a full arena, which hopefully will get there by next season. 17, 18,000 people for an NBA or NHL team is pretty average. If you talk about baseball or football, then you're looking potentially as 40,000 plus people. And think about all these fans. Just think about when you go to a game. We have fans that come to the game for the first time. And, the type of information they need might be a little bit different. They might not know where to park. They might not know how to enter the building, the rules and regulations of what is permitted in the building or not. What type of food they have. Maybe they have food allergies or they want a specific type of beer. So all the data that we have on these customers can help us drive their fan engagement. We have fans that come to us for occasional games and they actually do live 2 to 3 hours away from us. We have fans that have been with us for 30 years from the Cows Palace. If anybody's, from the Bay Area, they know what I'm talking about. They have a certain routine. They have certain food that they buy every time. They know their neighbors. It's very much a community experience. We have, if you're attending as a person who works for one of our sponsors or perhaps a CMO of one of these organizations, you're experiencing different. This guy is a Flames fan. Do we care about him? Yes, we do, because in markets like ours, fans that are not necessarily cheering for our team are also part of our business, and we have to still take care of them. Here, I'm from Toronto, for example. We have a lot of Canadians here that come to see only the Canadiens game. So those are also part of the business. Many other things. The person who maybe gets attended to the game buys the first jersey for the first time. We have understanding what type of purchase they do. Do they only come based on the opponent, or is it a specific time of the week that they like to attend the game, and so on and so forth. So I can imagine there's a lot of different types of experience you might have. And of course, then we have fans that have been with us for many, many years. Not only they come to the Sharks game, maybe they play recreational hockey in our ice facilities. They support our foundation. Their kids are part of Junior Sharks. And they perhaps rent a suite every year to bring their employees. So all of these data points really helps us engage with these fans, and potentially, the engagement is going to be different for each of them, perhaps. And then depending on your business objectives it could be retention, it could be upsell, it could be cross-sell, whatever your business objectives are, you can use this data to really drive your business. So this is some of the example of the fan engagement science. On the traditional BI team, roles, I started in the industry in 2005 in Toronto. I worked for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment for 9 years, and I've been with the Sharks for 6 years. The BI teams traditionally take care of the fan data, fan engagement part of the data. My team, we actually, because I also oversee technology, we oversee pretty much everything as much as possible, and based on the resources that we have. But the traditional BI team, whether it's on a team side or on a league side, these are the areas they mostly take care of. Some of them might do more, some of them might do less, but this is a typical BI team. Of course, CRM data, I'm sure everybody here has dealt with CRM data. There's a lot of information in there, where there's accounts of contact and pipeline management. Sponsorship for us perhaps is a little bit different. Not only understanding what type of inventory you have available, the pricing of that, which is our rate card, and even rate card analysis or yield analysis. What is working on, is it the different types of deals that you have, and it's understanding if something is overpriced or underpriced. Pricing is a huge part of what we do. Not only we price the tickets and the ticket packages for the full year, but we also look at variable pricing and dynamic pricing. Variable pricing is when you price each game once you get your schedule based on the popularity that you might have. Traditionally, it used to be A+ to B or C or D. Now for us, we do 45 games ranking from the best to the worst, potentially based on the information that we have. And then dynamic pricing, just think about it the same way as you might price an airline ticket. Based on the game that you're coming to and the time you purchase your ticket, this ticket price can be higher or lower. Sometimes we change prices multiple times a day. Sometimes we do it once a week. Sometimes maybe we don't touch a game for a month. There's a lot of regression analysis and understanding involved in that, understanding not only what's going on within our own market, but the secondary market, but really understanding the available inventory and supply and demand. Analytics and reporting, I separated them specifically. Of course, analytics, descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, more and more of us are getting into predictive analytics, and we are not at prescriptive analytics yet, and I'll get into perhaps if you have time later. But for us, quantifying the passion of the fans is extremely difficult, if not impossible. So that sometimes throws your analytics out the door completely. Reporting for us is the day-to-day of what's going on. What do you have right now? How much tickets sold? How many tickets were sold today? What is your ticket sales pacing? How many people are in the building right now? Attendance rate, all of those things. So it's just very much a report about now or a short period of time. And then, of course, research and survey, understanding fan experiences, fan insight, retention likelihood, and all of that is a huge part of what we do with collaboration with different teams. Collaboration is perhaps some of the biggest thing we do. Quick data structure plug, just as an example. You don't need to really, pay too much attention to, but some of the stuff that we deal with in terms of all the data sources that we have. And then this is a little bit of our enterprise data mapping of all the systems that work together, and we're still working on integration. Industry challenges. As I mentioned, the nature of our business creates data silos. Most of the data sources that we have are third parties. Think about the ticketing data source, that is our biggest data source, our retail data source, and F&B data source. Even our website is technically third party. NHL controls basically that part of the customer experience, and there's only so much we can do. So there's bringing all these things together. Identifying the customer is sometimes a huge problem for us. Heavy reliance on ticketing data, as I mentioned, is a huge part of our data. It's quite important, but depending on what you want to get out of it, some of these systems are legacy systems that has been built many years ago, and the data structure still is an issue. Lack of flexibility. There's a lot of startups in our business, and not all of them have the APIs that we might need, or the APIs they have is not exactly what I want. So just sometimes there's challenges with that. The unknown customer, I buy tickets, maybe I buy 2 tickets. The person that comes with me, you don't know who that person is. Digital ticketing is solving some of that problem, and in addition, is creating more security in terms of fraud for the fans. But there are sometimes that you still don't know. For example, during the last few games of the season that we had fans in the building, we disabled ticket forwarding just because of the COVID protocols that we had to have. So, if you're coming with 3 of your buddies, you're no longer forwarding the ticket digitally. We still don't know who are the people who are coming to the game. Or just think about in general, the people who are watching the game, the people who are maybe interacting with us sometimes on social media. Not all the time we know who they are. Fans have changed, not always the sports teams has changed. As Ken mentioned, sports industry is quite old school. Our fans have changed, but not all of us have kept up with the new culture, not only in terms of data, but what their expectations are. As I mentioned, quantifying the passion of the fans is extremely difficult. Sometimes we do retention analysis, and everything indicates that a specific fan is not going to renew, and they end up renewing, or sometimes the reverse of that completely happens. That's the part I absolutely love. Analytics is always arts and the science, but we deal a lot more with the arts at sometimes. Different generations of fans. We have a lot of our fans that have been with us for 30 years. 1/3 of our fans have been with us for 30 years. And by that, I mean season ticket holders. And another 1/3 have been with us for less than 3 years as a season ticket holder. So just think about, one group wants hard rock in the stadium, another one wants hip hop. One person wants hot dog, the other person wants ramen. Another person thinks the music is too loud, the other person thinks the music is too not loud enough. So just managing all these expectations within the same environment is sometimes can be a challenge. Recruiting challenges, as Ken mentioned, it's difficult to hire the right person. The culture of data is extremely important, and soft skills is also sometimes very important for me. But in a market like ours in Silicon Valley, the person that works for me can work for multiple different organizations, and staying competitive with that is extremely difficult. And lack of diversity. By that, I mean every type of diversity, not only demographics speaking, we don't have enough women, we don't have enough people of color, but also background. If you're hired the same type of people, you end up with the same type of results. That's why some of the, perhaps not 100%, but one of the main reasons we still have KPIs and best practices from 2006 is that because we end up hiring the same type of person with the same type of education, with the same type of background. I came from retail personally, but what are the subject matter experts in different industries that we can hire? And that's all I have. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to take it.
Absolutely, Neda. We do have so many questions that came in. I'm going to go ahead and give you one question. But first of all, thank you so much for that presentation. Really insightful. I really love the unique perspective that you shared, especially the industry challenges. I guess I never really understood it before, and it's really, really complex down to, like you said, the music and how the volume of the music. So we'll take one question here from Gordon, and he's asking, does the data show how the performance of the teams impact fan behavior in subsequent games?
It's very interesting because I started looking at this starting in 2005 when I worked for the Leafs and the Raptors, and it's no, secret that the Leafs and the Raptors at the time were not doing well. And you'll be surprised, not so much. It perhaps helps the retention for the upcoming years, but our fans, a lot of the times it's about if the team is trying, right? And each group is going to be different. When you look at the original 6 teams, it's going to be very different. From ours, is going to be very different. We, as I mentioned, we are very lucky. We have season ticket holders who've been with us for 30 years. Experience more and more is what drives the fans. They want to have the right food. They want to make sure they get there. There's no parking or traffic issues, coming to the building, their favorite drinks. And that's why if you look at the new stadiums are getting built. They're more experienced areas that are getting built into them. I still like to sit and just watch the game and don't talk to anybody. But if I go to if I go to maybe an MLB game, I want to have the experience. So that's a huge part of that. Rivalry for us is hugely important. When we play Vegas, the building is completely crazy. And day of the week in our market specifically is a huge driver. So Saturday night games, Friday nights, that's huge because, again, Silicon Valley, the traffic is a huge issue, or at least, we'll see what happens when we get back to normal. But yeah, each team is going to be very different about what drives their business, which the analytics is going to help you understand that.
Okay, awesome. Well, Neda, thank you again so much for presenting here at the DATAcated Conference.
It was a pleasure. It's great to be here.